Hello money magnets, so good to see everybody. We're looking at the S&P 500. What an amazing breakdown that we had today. If you made money today and you're probably smiling while you're watching Uncle's video, definitely pat yourself on the back. You deserve it because I'm gonna tell you today the price action was pretty straightforward. It was nice. I'm very grateful for it on multiple ticker symbols too, but it was nothing easy about this. The market was in the chop phase. It was barcoding, consolidating, building strength for the next move. And it took a few days, but we were able to identify the chop range. I wrote in my Discord today, yesterday SPY spent all day consolidating just above the 642.5 level. Many buy orders were absorbed, but none strong enough to push SPY above the 644 level. If 642.5 breaks down, the buy orders are gone in 641 and 639.8 incoming. If SPY truly bounces, 644 must clear to put 646 in play. Above 646 is bullish. Be ready to react. And what does that mean, be ready to react? Whatever setup the price action gives us is what we will react to. So for example, I was watching the 642.5 level and the 644 level up here. SPY on the 15-minute chart broke down 642.5. That breakdown is what triggers the puts. It's what tells you from the price action to enter puts. So we entered puts. Pretty sure I alerted the group. I wrote here 642.5 failed, putting 641 and 639.8 in play. It hit 641, gave us a little dead cat bounce, but eventually broke down 641 on the 15-minute chart and it kept on going down. So we want to play it level to level. You enter from here, take most profits here, leave a runner, and you reset for the next setup, which was a breakdown of 641, gave us 639.8. It battled there, almost hitting my 638-ish level before bouncing. But it took multiple days of consolidation to break out that chop range to give us this decent move. But as nice as it was, and I'm very grateful for it, the trading day is over and we need to set up and get ready for the next one. And looking at this context, we notice that this pivot high right here, 639.8, has been tested today. It is very bearish when SPY can break down a previous pivot high. If it can break down support, which was the previous pivot high, that would be bearish. That level was at 639.85 to be exact. And today SPY closed, according to TradingView, at 639.81. Is that even a breakdown? A few cents closed below it. I mean, technically, it is a breakdown. But the way I'm going to interpret this, because it's so weak of a breakdown, is just that we have a back test of a critical level. And what happens next will give us more clarity. The breakdown of this chop range that we had today, though, screams bearish. Remember, we entered a trend phase, the chop phase, and then back into the trend phase. So based on this context, we should be in the bearish trend phase. To confirm that is correct, 639.8 must fail tomorrow. The level that the bulls must recapture to turn things around is 644. That's the level that you want to see recaptured if you want to call in a bottom or switch back to bullish. Because as long as below, we are in breakdown mode. And losing 639.8 based on the higher time frame would be very bearish, would be bearish follow through. So we broke the chop range. Could this be the start of a top? I don't know, but I do know the next critical level to watch, which is 639.8, because if that level fails tomorrow, then the bears are going to continue smiling and they should continue to pat themselves on the back, because there's nothing easy about this. So you should be proud of yourself, absolutely, because below 639.8 we should expect more downside. 638.2, 637, 635.5, 634, and 632 are all my targets to the downside. And as I mentioned earlier, if we are to switch back to bullish, we need to see 642.5 recapture. So if you want to trust a bounce from this previous high as support, you want to see 641 and 642.5 recapture, because that was the bottom of the recent chop zone that we had, and it was the loss of that bottom that ignited today's selling pressure. So a recapture would turn today's selling pressure into a bear trap or a healthy back test of a previous critical level. I would trust the bounce and switch back to bearish above 642.5 and especially above the macro level fill fib level at 644. And because of this healthy pullback, if we do happen to recapture those levels, the odds of 646 clearing would be a little bit higher. So we have the levels and setups. Let's continue the journey and see what happens tomorrow. Here is QQQ. Beautiful move on QQQ. This is looking at a 15-minute chart. Now this is for tier 2s and tier 3 content on my Discord, but I did cover QQQ this morning. I wrote both 576 and 574.5 must fail to give us more downside. And we look at that 15-minute chart, it broke down 576. It was beautiful. Now we did have some problems around the 574.6 level, but it ended up being a false breakout intraday. False breakout intraday. This is what you call a dead cat bounce, and it led to a lot more downside. But if we go to the daily chart, we can see how bearish that bad boy looks. Now the previous pivot high from July 31st was at 574.6. that was a fib level, was very important, and we lost that level today. Unlike SPY's breakdown is very weak. QQQ's breakdown is very strong, and because of this, QQQ is in false breakout mode. As long as below 574.6 and even 573, I am bearish on QQQ. It did manage to lose another fib level as well, which was at 569.7. It broke it down and hit my 568 level. Managed to pause there. But if it can stay below 569.7, the breakdown continues, and loss of 568 should send us a lot lower, at least another $5-10. And I'll tell you, for what it's worth, the RSI is not even in oversold territory yet. So there's still a bit of strength to go down if the market makers want it so. But if not, getting back above 569.7 would be a start, but recapturing some lost levels is what it takes to put in a bottom. So getting above 571, 573, and the fib level of 574.6 would definitely be needed. Now I did mention that we are flagging, and this low that we had today could be a lower low based on a flag, the bull flag. So if there is a breakout, 578 and 580 are still the levels that must recapture and break out to give us that breakout to new potential all-time highs. But otherwise, below 574.6 and below 569.7, Unco is bearish, and if we lose 568, the falling knife can resume. And here is NVDA. Finally broke out the chop range. I did update my levels for NVDA in the Discord. I wrote new levels to watch. I have resistant at 183 and 184.5 to be bullish and end the chop. Both levels must fail to put 186 plus in play. To be bearish, both levels at 181 and 179.5 must fail. So we look at the 15-minute chart, we see that it broke down 181, it broke down 179.5, and it was a beautiful move to the downside. But we must get to the daily chart because it's very important to notice that we were chopping for days before this beautiful drop to the downside, and we managed to break down not one but two uptrend lines. Very bearish to see. Very bearish to see. And if for this bearishness to continue, more levels must break down. I do have the next one at 174.5. If that level fails, we can expect more downside. 172.2, 171, 169 or lower would be my next targets. Now if we are to get a bounce, recapturing some lost levels is needed, starting with 176, 178 and 179.5. If those levels can recapture, then we can get back to 181, 183, 184.5 and possibly to new all-time highs, 186 plus. So the level to watch for tomorrow, if you are trying to play a bounce, is 176, 178 and especially 179.5. Otherwise, we are bearish on NVDA. Tesla, what an incredible move it had today, intraday. And I mentioned about that 340 level. They couldn't clear 340. It was a hard rejection from that area, which led to a breakdown of the fib level around 331.6 end of day. So as long as above that level, I am bearish. We could get a bounce again. Hopefully not, because it's been chopping. The intraday action has been decent, but it's been chopping. But if we don't chop tomorrow and there is actually bearish follow through, 328 and 326 must fail. Those levels fail, then down we go. 322, 320.5 and 319 or lower. I would not go long unless 331.5 or 333 can recapture and possibly go back and retest 340. And if 340 clears, definitely a higher low can be in. Here's IWM also giving us a false breakout setup. We see this previous pivot high from mid to late July around 226.7. We finally broke it down. We tested that area as support multiple times, couldn't break it down, but today we did. If there is bearish follow through, staying below 226.7 is a must. must, and taking out 225 and 226 and 223.6 would be a big win for the bears. That would be your bearish follow. However, if we recapture 226.7 and clear 228 and 230, I would go long. That would be bullish price action and a false breakdown setup. Here is coin with a beautiful drop to the downside. Now, coin tried to go for a bounce yesterday, recapturing some levels, looking like it was trying to break out this downtrend line. However, it just couldn't get back above the 5 DMA. It broke down a level I had around the 317-ish area, and now we closed below a fib level. That fib level is at 307.8. So for me, I would not trust a bounce unless 307.8 can recapture and the 5 DMA. Now, the 5 DMA is around 318-ish right now, but it can change tomorrow. So definitely check it out. Wherever the 5 DMA is, mark it in your chart, and that's the level it needs to recapture. But as long as it's below 307.8, we can expect more downside. 300, possibly down to the low 290s, and I would not be surprised if we go hit the low 280s. And here is the VIX. I haven't covered it in a while, but it looked like it's trying to wake up, actually giving us a green close today, but it's not quite above certain levels I'd like to see for me to be bullish. Those levels would be 16 and 17.5, but I'll tell you this, if VIX does get above those levels, we can expect an incredible day of trading. Otherwise, if we lose 14.75 tomorrow, VIX would be bearish. We did recently recapture that level from a false breakdown setup, so let's see if this bullish follow through. 16 and 17.5 are the levels to watch, but if 14.7 fails, well, we'll deal with that when the time comes. And yep, that's what I have for you guys today. Had a really great trading day. Yesterday was not good at all. Today was amazing. You know, that's the beauty of the stock market. You never know what you're gonna get, and just no matter what, this is a big win. If you were able to, despite the drama, despite, you know, some of the doubts and fears, if you still believe that you were a money magnet and you came out green today, what amazing day. What a miracle. And the best part of it is that you were that miracle. The miracle came from within you, and I'm grateful if I got to be, some ways I got to be a part of that. Very grateful. And yeah, let's keep being money magnets. Let's keep attracting this money. Let's keep breaking new records. Let's keep dreaming big. Let's dream big. We only got one life. All I know, I got one life to live. So before we go, let's dream big. Let's want more for ourselves. Let's embody it. Let's believe we already have it. Why not? Let's play a trick on the universe and believe we already have it. Watch the miracles happen. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Peace.